Welcome to the Philadelphia chapter of Cobra's Reparations Day celebration. And in keeping with the tradition of the Philadelphia chapter, I'd like to ask everybody to stand for a moment of silence. Moment of silence for those who are our ancestors, those who are here struggling, and those for the future. Amen. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this event. My name is Dr. Mujahid Yahuma, member of Philadelphia and Cobra. First, I'd like to thank the members of the Cobra chapter responsible for making this event possible. Fatima Adekola, Pan-African female co-chair, please stand up. She in the room? Osaji Yabo, Pan-African male co-chair, Osaji. Pan-African minister, Ari Madredanon, Northeast Regional Representative, Cobra. Pan-African Jackie Mungai, I think she's out front. Pan-African Kamara Jordan. Pan-African Reverend Doris Sherman. Pan-African James Bryant. Pan-African Elliot Booker. And Pan-African Dr. Tahir McCoy Yahuma. Thanks also to our main sponsors for today's event. The Pan-African Studies Department, Dr. Malefe Asante, Chair, Department of Africology, Temple University, and Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, City of Philadelphia. Please give them all a round of applause. Last but not least, I'd like to give a special thanks to my students from community college, since they seem to be the makeup of the crew here. They are streaming this live on 4 different locations around the room. They're recording everything that we said, so we can pass that on to Cobra for their records. So Reparations Day is a day that we recognize the brutality, severe exploitation, and raw inhumanity of the U.S. experience for enslaved and relatives of enslaved Africans. And Cobra has identified 5 injury areas for slavery. 1, the destruction of our peoplehood, our humanity, and our historical contribution to world humanity. 2, the systematic denial and restriction of educational opportunities. 3, criminal punishment and establishment of oppressive legacy of a dual punishment system, one for Europeans and one harsher and more oppressive for Africans. The deliberate legal legacy of a wealth and poverty gap between Europeans and Africans born in America. And lastly, deliberate and intentional health disparities in physical health as well as mental health. From slavery until 2020, we are constantly informed of the various degrees of disparities of African people: health, education, housing, employment, redlining, walking, riding, driving while black. These disparities let us know how effectively the legacies of slavery and racism have continued to oppress, exploit, and terrorize African people. An expansive view of reparations allows us to review, analyze, and address many of these issues, locally, regionally, and nationally. Today you will learn how to teach one and reach one, in reference to reparations from the local experience of Evanston, Illinois. Now that I've set up the stage for today's event, we will start with a tribute to our ancestors, a libation by Brother Osaji, male co-chair of Philadelphia chapter of the Cobra.
All right.
Thank you, Brother Mujahid. in the spirit of our ancestors protected by their blood, we shall honor each and every wound this evening. On their shoulders we do stand, and with our voice we will speak for them, for justice, justice, justice for the crimes against humanity against them. Again, my name is Osazu Sieba. I'm the male co-chair of Philadelphia chapter of Cobra, and my role today is to do the libations. I'm your libationist. We're going to get very spiritual because we're connected to our ancestors. So I'm going to start off by giving some background. Each of us is seen as spirit who has taken the form of a human in order to carry out specific divine purposes. And I've come to realize my divine purpose is to win reparations for our people. Spirit is the energy that keeps us connected to our Creator and ancestors. Ancestors are referred to as spirits, collected unconscious. The ancestral spirit has a capacity to see the invisible spirit world and also the visible physical earthly world. Our ancestors serve as our senses on the other side. Ancestral spirit can see, hear, taste, feel, smell, think through the future, past, present, along with the space-time continuum. They can see inside of us and see the outside through us. They can see multidimensionally, transgenerationally, and intergenerationally. Without the limitation of the physical body, they have the fluidity of the senses that see, hear, taste, feel, and smell many different ways, levels, directions. We continue our relationship with our ancestral spirit by invocating, evocating, and recognizing their presence within us. Just as parents respond to the needs of their children, when you reach out to your ancestors, they will be with you immediately. They see the visibility world through us, and we experience the invisible world through them. They want us to call on them. This relationship will always attract a lot of ancestral spirits that even we not realize are with us. Our Creator and our ancestors are always with us, even if we do not call on them. However, when we recognize them, we activate them within us. Our Creator and our ancestors are not outside of us. When we vibrate on their presence, they do not come from the outside to inside of us. They come from the inside of us to the outside of us. When we perform the ritual of libation, we are one with our ancestors, in unity with them. The living is able to fulfill the song that claims to touch the hem of the Creator's garment. Humans gain the ability to experience the highest form of love called myrrh by the Kushite Kemites. Every time you speak from your heart, invoke or tell an ancestor from the other world that something is going on in this world, you are in ritual. You're doing something that includes others. We don't have flesh and bones like you. Our ancestors are our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin from the spiritual world. We are our ancestors' eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin in the physical world. Together in unity, we will join forces and experience heaven on earth. Let us begin our spiritual libation ceremony. Those who are able to, please stand. We call on our ancestors far and near, mothers of our mothers, fathers of our fathers, to bear witness to what we have done. And by their example, to continue to inspire us to reclaim our African minds, regenerate our African spirit, liberate the African homeland, and reclaim our greatness as a people. We pour libations. You say Ashe.
Ashe.
We honor all our ancestors in antiquity who gave civilization to the world, especially to Hootie, who lived during the antediluvian period, or the period before the Great Flood, who was considered the personification of all wisdom and truth. The Greeks called him the scribe of the gods, and changed his name to Hermes Mercurius Trismegistus, or the thrice great. He was so great, they called him great 3 times. We pour libations. We honor the great Kushite king Narmer-Menes, who came from the upper Kemet and conquered the lower Kemet, and united into the first nation state in the history of the known world, which began dynastic Egypt. We pour libations. We honor the great Imhotep, who during the third dynastic period was the grand vizier to Pharaoh Dozier, who built the first above-ground stone structure in the history of the world, called the Step Pyramid. He was the first physician to stand out in the history of the world. The Greeks worshipped him as a god of medicine and called him Asclepius. We pour libations. We honor our mothers and fathers of the three great West African empires, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, which grew to be larger than all of Europe and housed the great universities of Sankore and built the great cosmopolitan city of Timbuktu. And knowing this, it erased from our minds forever that we came from a Tarzan, jungle, savage existence before we came here enslaved. We pour libations. We honor our ancestors who were forcibly wrenched from our homelands and placed in the bottom of slave ships and brought to America and transformed into slaves in terms of free labor and worked as chattel for 246 years. This is sacred water here. When I was in Ghana with the Global Africans, we went to a town called Asemansa, Ghana. We went to the river of the last bath. Ari had 2 bottles. And when we got into the river with our feet, with our shoes off, we took some of this water. When they marched our ancestors down from northern Ghana, they were marching them to the Cape Coast, but this river was here to clean them up so they would be ready for sail. This is sacred water that stays on my altar at home, my shrine at home, until I become an ancestor. We pour libations. We honor all our ancestors who demanded justice, reparations for African Holocaust of chattel slavery and Jim Crow, such as Honorable Collie House, Queen Mother Audley Moore, Queen Mother Dorothy Benton Lewis, Baba Hannibal Afrique, Baba Omar Obadeli, Sister Injiri, Reparations Ray Jenkins, the Honorable John Conyers, the Honorable Edward W. Robinson Jr., just to name a few. We pour libations. And finally, for our children and their children and future generations yet to come, that in their time they will vindicate us from all adversaries and continue to imprint upon the world the great genius of African humanity. We pour libations. May the venerable spirits of our ancestors descend upon this place to guide us in everything that we say and do. Let us proceed in peace. Reparations now. Reparations now.
Thank you, brother. Give him a hand for that. I We're going to change the program slightly because one of our guests had to leave early. So I'd like to invite up Honorable Kenyatta Johnson, City of Philadelphia, Councilman for the 2nd Congressional District, Council District. He's been on the front line for housing, affordable housing, alternative youth programs, and representing all of South Philadelphia, from the center city all the way out to the airport and all the communities in between. Honorable Kenyatta.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I want to say it's truly an honor and a privilege. We have the opportunity to be here supporting this event. I'm born and raised in South Philadelphia. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in criminal justice with dual minors in philosophy and sociology from Mansfield University. Got my master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Did some coursework at Harvard Business School, but I know for a fact that if it wasn't for the spirit of my ancestors, I would not have made it through the neighborhood in which I grew up in, of South Philadelphia. And so it's few in between when it comes to individuals who grew up in neighborhoods such as my neighborhood and have that opportunity to do the work that I'm doing right now. I am the first African American to represent the 2nd Councilmanic District. I'm also served as a former state representative, and I've dedicated my life to not leave my neighborhood, to be a public servant in the neighborhood in which I grew up in. And so as I address the issue I'm very passionate about, such as youth gun violence, I'm always hoping and working to make sure that the other young men will look at me and say, if Councilman Kenyatta Johnson can make it out of our neighborhood and become the person who he is today, so am I. And so I wanted to take a moment to present this first proclamation to an organization. I used to attend the Cobra meetings on Germantown Avenue, fresh out of Mansfield University. That was in 1996. And I always respected this organization for, one, stepping out and addressing this issue. This is an issue right now that's become commercialized. You got Warren, what's her name, Elizabeth Warren. They asked her, you support reparations? Yeah, I support reparations, right? Cory Booker has a reparations bill, right? But at the end of the day, and when I get a chance to talk about why we're really here today, it's actually putting action into work. And that's what the alderwoman from Chicago has actually done. Not talking about it, but actually being about it. And so I want to take a moment first to acknowledge in Cobra for your hard work and dedication to present to you this proclamation on behalf of the city of Philadelphia, and acknowledging you for your awareness on Reparations Awareness Day. And I want everybody to recognize this. Sometimes people say, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you have been a part of a system that have been oppressing black and brown people. And so there's never been an equal playing field at all. No. Never have been an equal playing field, and still isn't an equal playing field. And so when you talk about reparations, I think I was watching Attorney Benjamin Crump. He put something up on his Instagram page the other day talking about Princeton University. He named all the Ivy League universities that had a role in slavery, right? And he talked about all the women reparations and what those reparations should look like, right? And you know, the first thing came to my mind, well, start giving away free scholarships and free tuition to young people that come from impoverished inner city neighborhoods. Find other ways to support small businesses that till this very day still are discriminated against when it comes to receiving lines of credit to run their businesses. Focus on making sure that we're providing individuals to receive affordable and workforce housing in our gentrified neighborhoods when we talk about the issues of reparations. And so, on behalf of the city of Philadelphia, I want to take a moment to acknowledge in Cobra for your hard work and your dedication, and acknowledging you during Reparations Awareness Day in the year of 2020. And I want to say congratulations and keep up the good work.
Right in my video.
And so to the young lady of the hour, and I had a good friend who called me and said, hey, Councilman, we have a leader who's coming to the city of Philadelphia from Chicago, and she's heavily involved in the issue of reparations, and we would like for you to be a part of this event. And I didn't hesitate to say, whatever I can do to be supportive, let me know. And I began to read her background regarding her advocacy in her hometown. But most importantly, on this issue of reparations, she passed a bill that focuses on a portion of the proceeds that come from the very product that has contributed to mass incarceration, which is marijuana, cannabis licenses, as a form of reparations to help the very same people who have been oppressed. And so, for me, that's a excellent, I'm talking about excellent sign of leadership. She also has a reparations subcommittee. And let me say this again. A reparations subcommittee in her hometown city council to make sure that this is #1 priority in her town. And so with that being said, let's bring up Alderwoman Robin Sue Simmons. Give her a real big round of applause, guys. A real big round of applause. You know, they say women will lead the way, right? Because this is bold, right? This is bold. It's talking about reparations. Some folk, what do you mean? They asked Bernie Sanders, you support reparations? He said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I endorsed Jesse when he first ran. When you start talking about that reparations stuff, I don't know if I want to go that far with it. That's what he said. But we have a Black Holocaust too.
That's right.
And so I applaud this sister. We speaking truth to power, right? It's not a commercialized issue that we're talking about, right? And so I just want to take this moment, and also I'll be remiss if I don't acknowledge one of the hardest working. I call him my little big brother, right? Because he's little when it comes to being new to this profession, but he's sure enough a freedom fighter. State Representative Chris Rabb, I just want to acknowledge you. Sure enough, the only state rep that's here. And I want to acknowledge number 2, the Alderwoman, Robin Sue Simmons. We just want to thank you for your dedication to your public service, but most importantly, your contributions, not only to the African American community, this is to humanity. This is to humanity. This is not just about Black history. This is our history